Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Future of CloudSuite, presented by Infor RVP Jim Reilly. Jim Reilly is a regional vice president at Infor since 2016. He has more than 20 years industry experience and has held senior positions at HP, SAP, and Dell prior to joining Infor. Jim resides just outside of Philadelphia in southern New Jersey. He is a graduate of Millersville University and the Manage Mentor program of Harvard Business School. DRI has worked with Jim for a year or two now, and we know firsthand that he is an excellent resource for questions about CSI, Infor products, and the Infor Cloud. Jim, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk with our customers today. I think everyone's eager to hear what you have to say, so why don't you take it away?
Great, thank you, Emily. Thanks for the introduction. You're setting the bar high, so hopefully I can deliver. As you've heard with some of my career background, I like to keep it to companies with 5 letters or less. So my progression went from HP with 2 letters to SAP to Dell, and now I've got the full 5 at Infor, so full high 5. What I thought I'd do today is start with a little bit of an update on Infor and just a refresher. I know many of our customers have been with us for quite a number of years. DRI has been a strong partner for more than 30 years now, and some of our customers are in that multiple decades as well. And the company that you purchased from back then, being Sightline, Cymex, or what have you, is quite different today in Infor, so we'll cover a little bit of that. Also dig into some of the industry factors that are leading to cloud adoption, and talk how Infor and our CloudSuite strategy and platform is really tailored to take advantage of the latest technologies while delivering that innovation our customers need. And I'll also talk about some of the futures and roadmap around CloudSuite and some of our portfolio technologies. So with that, we'll jump right into it. As I've mentioned, Infor really does have the size and scale of being the 3rd largest ERP solution company in the world. That's in terms of revenue. If you look at it in terms of number of customers that we support, we actually surpass the number 1 and 2 providers combined. So we have a deep history and experience in manufacturing, as you're all aware, and a deep commitment to research, development, and overall product development. Our product development has been consistent for the past 6 or 7 years now at a give or take $500 million to $600 million a year in R&D, continuing to improve the product and the platform for our customers. And some of the results of that are some of the numbers you see on the slide, with having over 70 million users now in an Infor CloudSuite, and nearly 70,000 customers around the globe. One of the things I did want to touch on is just our ownership structure here at Infor. As Infor was founded now more than 15 years ago by some private equity firms, Koch Industries actually made an investment in Infor a little more than 3 years ago now, was that initial investment, which then was doubled down about a year and a half later. And just this past April, Koch fully acquired Infor, and we are now a wholly owned subsidiary of Koch Industries. This was one of the largest investments in the software industry ever made. And while Infor has always had a major focus on manufacturing, and it's still the top industry for us as a company, we're now partnered with some of the leading industrial manufacturers in the world. Our sister companies now include Georgia-Pacific, Guardian Industries, Invista, Molex, and many others. And we're on a path to continue growth and having access to the resources of one of the world's largest private companies with that long-term perspective. We really no longer need to be worried about reporting publicly our numbers on a quarterly basis, and can focus on that long-term perspective. In fact, last year, Koch and our board of directors put together a business plan that's in place now through 2039. So it gives you a sense of the long-term vision and strategy that we're able to really focus in and execute to those strategies, and not have to worry. We see many of our competitors kind of getting shopped around, if you will, and pushed around to different markets or scrutiny of the public market, we can now focus on the business, focus on our customers, and focus on success. So we're really excited about being part of Coke. If we transition a little bit into what we're seeing in the industry from driving the manufacturing industry, I think you would agree these are some of the top topics, if you will, of the day. Product and that personalization and customization of the product continues to be high. We're seeing great traction in our configuration software and great adoption because of some of that personalization. The supply chain networks continuing to get complex at the very high end of that. Our Infor Nexus platform is helping customers on the supply chain side, but there's always an ongoing complexity that's added to the business when you add this personalization or even the next bullet here around services. And you need to balance how to meet these challenges while still being able to reduce costs and staying competitive in the market. And new technologies, IoT, AI, some of the analytics continue to propel that disruption and really drive up expectations from customers and suppliers and partners. So enter where Infor is focused here is really around creating a service for our customers. No longer just an ERP product sold into the market, but really building a service and a suite of technology services that can scale and that can keep you current as you are focused on running your business and not worry about the technology and the backbone behind it being strong, stable, and modern to continue to deliver a differentiation in the business. We've partnered, as many of you know, Infor is not a data center and database company, so we've partnered with the world's largest infrastructure company, AWS, and that decision was made probably 7 or 8 years ago now, and it turned out to be strategically the right one, and continues to pay dividends for us as we're able to take those billions of dollars that Amazon's pumping into their own R&D around AWS and being able to leverage that into our tool sets and technologies for our customers. Just taking a look a little bit about the differences from your traditional on-premise deployment or private hosted deployment and cloud solution. Cloud service is really completely different experience from buying and installing and maintaining your own system. With the own systems, the responsibility for everything lies with you, from system performance to security to innovation to the business benefit that you're able to derive out of it. A cloud service is really having someone else do the heavy lifting on that day-to-day running of the system while you're able to focus on your business. And all of that benefits of the multi-tenant public cloud for the enterprise, combined with a proven industry functionality that's been in the market now for more than 30 years and continues to innovate and add functionality. It really delivers that end-to-end solution, and is much more than just an ERP, now including business intelligence and analytics, workflows, social business collaboration, and so much more. So part of Infor's strategy here is really the platform of technologies, so expanding it beyond just that core capabilities of what's expected, and almost to some degree has become commoditized over the years into a platform. And you may have seen this in different flavors over the past few years. It's really been part of the Infor strategy now for several years, starting with our base platform of AWS, but the Infor OS, or that operating service layer, what we used to call a tech stack, is really at the foundation of all of our products and all of our modern technologies that we're bringing to our customers. And that industry functionality as we talked about, makes us a little unique in the industry. We don't have one product that we go to market with and tailor to an industry. We really tailor our products to an industry so it delivers some of that last mile functionality, all built around the CloudSuite, that network, IoT, machine learning, smart AI, Coleman AI, and burst analytics. So when you look at it from a traditional, what you would expect, kind of that core capabilities on the center on the left there is what you've come to know from Sightline and now CloudSuite Industrial over the years. But a CloudSuite, as you can see, is much more than just your kind of standard functionality, and allows different ways to innovate and make the most of your software purchase. Since we've been doing this for a while, we've had the benefit of having quite a few customers in the cloud, as you saw. So we took a survey of nearly 400 of them, asking what were the reasons to move for cloud. These were customers of ours for many years and decided to make an upgrade to the latest version into one of our cloud suites, and it was really cross industry. We tended to focus on total cost of ownership and the cost of the hardware and software and management that it needed to provide. But that actually ranked number 5 on the list, still on the list, but not at the top. On the top of the list was really innovation and keeping pace with all those changes and best practices is a struggle for many businesses. We oftentimes are talking to customers that have not had an upgrade or a major business system change in many more than 5 years. I recall one that was, I think, 22 years. They were running Sightline and just recently in the last year, made the upgrade to the latest version. Security and compliance, unfortunately, is a huge risk area, and the cyber attacks continue to grow. It's the stories we hear on ransomware are just really unfortunate and cripple a business for days, weeks, and sometimes even months until they can fully recover. So security and compliance is always a huge issue, and just having your environment tuned to what you're doing around performance and scalability was another one, and just UI adoption, having the most current modern systems for your workforce, having those systems adopted and used. If they're not being put to use, you're not driving the full value that you've invested. So that's certainly key. And total cost of ownership and getting predictable costs on an annual basis is certainly one of the other reasons our customers have told us for moving to the cloud. Again, some of the value that's being driven here is around costs, is around productivity. From a cost perspective, certainly there's some hard costs that can be called out with your data center, with the hardware, the OS, the database, all the patching, maintenance, and in an analysis of more than 200 of our customers, as they look out, there's a lot of hidden costs there, and we're seeing results coming in to a 10 to 25% savings from moving from a perpetual on-premise kind of motion up to a cloud service in one of our cloud suites. And with our partnership with AWS, you can see some of their very large customers had some phenomenal results as well. Productivity is also a big one, around budgeting for those upgrades and adapting, installing and managing any failures or whatever really takes a toll on the IT department, or if you're outsourcing that, it's additional costs that you're taking on. And security breaches, that's really one that, do you have a fully redundant capability to get up and running if something crashed? What's your time, return time from failure? Many customers have backups. They're on site. If they're backing up at all, so there's a lot of risk here in keeping it on premise. And so what we say is moving to the cloud will be the last upgrade you'll ever need. With our new release, which we'll get into in a little bit more detail, there's no longer these waterfall releases of going from version 7 to 8 to 9 to 901 to 10. It's now, we're always current with monthly micro updates coming through. So with that, I'll put up here the disclaimer that we need to talk about. So I will be talking about some futures and some roadmap items. So if you go to our product team and said, hey, Jim Reilly told me that this was coming, I did, but I didn't tell you when. So don't take these as commitments, but I do want to give you a vision into where we're going, what is on the roadmap, and what you can expect from Infor. And this material is confidential. So our roadmap focus really hasn't changed. This has been our focus for the last couple of years, really to ever improve on our performance and quality. Some of the pieces that you don't get to see are some of the tools that Infor has developed. We've developed a testing as a service tool. And we're using that internally quite a bit to do regression testing and other testing on our releases before they ever get published or out. So we've always had a focus on quality. I can tell you that some of the tools and the technology that has come around really in the last 12 to 18 months is even far and beyond above what we were able to do from our traditional quality assurance and testing. And the results are proving through. We're finding few kind of bugs with every release, few regressions. So the performance and quality continues to be and will always be a key focus for our development teams. That may not come through in feature functionality, but certainly helps with the stability and protects your investment. Customer enhancements is also a very big area on where we look to add functionality and features. We really look to you, our customers, to be providing us some of that insight. We've got a great team of technologists around us from a technology standpoint, but no one's better on the industry functionality, obviously, than our customers who are living it. So we really rely on those enhancements requests, and I'll show you towards the end of this presentation where you can go to vote and create some of those requests on your own. Burst content, we'll talk a little bit about. We are a global solution, so we continue to develop and continue to look at ways to further develop our localizations and do that from an Infor perspective and not just partners in those local areas. That Infor can support you and your organization on a global basis. And the OS is a big one. We'll talk a little bit about that and continue to make enhancements to our multi-company, multi-plant, multi-warehouse, multi-site. Like I mentioned on some of those micro updates, we do have this release management feature. It's called a feature management form inside of CloudSuite Industrial 10. In the past year that we've been live, we've had 23 feature releases pushed through to the product. 13 of those have already made it through GA, and they're live for all of our cloud customers. And what we call disruptive releases are those that customers may want to activate in a test environment and see how that impacts, if it impacts any of their business processes before they come live. So what we intend to do as features become available is to push them into the product in an off state, kind of toggled off, and allow customers to turn them on, test them, review the release notes, review the what's new notes, and see if that's something that can benefit their business by enabling for their organization. Some of those have dependencies down the line, so we will turn some of those on in intervals. We intend to do that every September and March for some features that may have been sitting in there for several months. We may need to activate some of those features and able to deliver new features and functionalities in the future. So a little bit of a look. This was actually wave 7 of our user interface enhancements, are kind of web styled, if you will, responsive design for the browser. So whether you're in a nice big monitor sitting at your desk or a tablet or even a phone, that the forms now are responsive and will resize to the device. So there are obviously just a ton of forms throughout CloudSuite, and we're now on the 7th wave of converting those into our web style. We still have a little bit of ways to go, and we'll continue to deliver that. Any customers who are on version 10 can see that. They have the option now to go to this by default or use our classic forms that are still going to remain available for the foreseeable future. A really nice addition is something called Smart Help. This was added in June and started to rolling out through clients. So as you can right click almost anywhere in the application and go to a help dialog, this little dialog will give you even more than that context help for the form that you're on, but it'll include some product documentation, some links to those docs in the support portal, knowledge-based articles if they exist, or even campus training materials. So some really nice user experience pieces being added to the product, and this is across all of Infor's portfolio. CloudSuite Industrial, you can see some of the enhancements here that was released in June. We've got another set of integrations and releases set for July. And then looking ahead on the engineering change notices, some of our next wave of burst analytic content, and again, a lot of focus, as you see here, on this globalization on locally and localization across the board. Here's a little snapshot of what's coming from a burst standpoint. The first couple of waves are focused on finance and sales, and we've got some additional waves. We actually have this planned out, I believe, through wave 6 or 7 at this point, and we'll continue to add content here to our analytic content. Some of the longer term initiatives is really keep focused on the user experience. Some of the more industry features around CPQ, and you saw some of our HR pieces earlier in the year on the roadmap. So continue to look at that broader Infor portfolio of products to make those work more cohesively together. Things like UPS and FedEx, we have the integration today. It's not as easy as we'd like it, so we're going to make some improvements there to get that up and running faster. And you can see some of our focus here around Infor OS as well with Coleman and document management. Outside of CloudSuite, just some of the things we're working on, we should see this product towards the latter half of this calendar year, is PLM. So PLM Discrete has a long history here at Infor, and it's been rewritten in Mongoose. So the screen should look very familiar to anyone on a more recent version of CloudSuite Industrial. That's by intent. Mongoose is our go-forward platform from a multi-tenant perspective. Infor OS is also critical. It's that foundation part to our cloud. I'm not going to nearly go into any detail on these, and some of them are a little bit over my head from a technical standpoint. But you can see there's a lot of focus around document management, around Coleman AI, around our data lakes. Anywhere you see a DL in here is around our data lake functionality. So really some exciting things that come to OS, and then our application teams like our CloudSuite Industrial team get to take advantage of. So Coleman, if you haven't seen it or played with it, I encourage you to kind of Google Infor Coleman. There's some cool videos out there where it's leveraging that Alexa for Business toolkit to ask the system and to create workflows. You know, hey Coleman, schedule my vacation dates for so and so. You know, okay, would you like to submit for approval? Yes. Right. So it really automate some of that workflow. We're also bringing some of that Coleman into Microsoft Teams and creating an SDK kit that you can work across other collaboration platforms as well. We've got some duplicate record detection. I think customers have been asking for this for a long time. You know, does that customer record already exist? You don't want to create a duplicate record in the system. Now with some of the data lake and the metadata technology, we can automate some of that. And as the screen shows here, you know, the customer name is similar, but the address and the phone number, they match exactly. Are you sure you want to add this customer to the record? Right. Concierge.infor.com is the new central portal for our customers. Here you can see where you can click on enhancements and see different enhancement requests that you can submit on the product and vote on those. If you haven't seen the announcement yet, we are going digital for Inforum 2020. That was originally scheduled to be in Las Vegas. It's now a 2-day digital event. Registration, I believe, will open up towards the end of July, early August. So keep a lookout for that on inforum.infor.com. And from a content perspective, I think that's what I've got. And I think, Emily, we do have some time for a few questions.
Yeah. At this time, we will open the floor for questions. We did get a couple of questions submitted throughout the presentation, Jim. So we'll start addressing those. A reminder to our attendees that if you have a question, you can submit it using the question box in your webinar toolbar. We'll start with Walter's question, who asks if CSI in the cloud is the same product as CSI on-prem.
That's a great question, Walter. So the core product is the same. Our packaging is a little bit different. So with CloudSuite, there are some optional modules on-prem like quality, some of our advanced planning, some of our integrations like credit card and tax, which are optional, which are all included as part of the CloudSuite. But beyond that, there's also the full Infor OS stack, and the feature functionality is not quite the same on-prem versus in the cloud. In the cloud, we are able to take advantage of some of the Amazon technologies. So the data lake, Coleman, some of those that require the more horsepower, if you will, and the large multi-tenant type farms. You do get a little bit more in the cloud, but at its core, CloudSuite Industrial is the same product, whether on-prem or in the cloud.
Excellent. We did get another question that came through from Howard. Howard wants to know, how long will Infor continue to support on-prem?
We have no plans to stop supporting on-prem. The majority of our customers are still on-prem. And I believe our life cycle commits to a minimum of 7 years on the current version that we're supporting. So we do have a life cycle policy that we publish out on the support site, but we have no plans whatsoever to stop supporting on-prem.
Excellent. It's 2:29, so we'll answer one more question. If we don't get to your question, we'll follow up via email. Our next question is from Marty, who asks, does Infor have any tools to assist with an upgrade to the cloud?
Yeah, great question. So we do. We actually have an Infor data migration factory that can help take care of migrating your current database or databases up to version 10 Infor Cloud. And I know DRI has a lot of tools that they've developed as well. So I would definitely recommend to reach out to your DRI contact, and we can talk through that a little bit more.
Hey, Jim, this is Sam. Let me just jump in there quickly. Yeah, I think you are accurate. DRI has done probably around 25 of these. We do have a tool that can take the current data in your on-prem system and move it move it to the cloud if necessary. So I think that John Haddix did a last session, talked about some of these capabilities, but if someone's interested, please let us know when we go into more detail about how that process takes place.
And you can contact us at info@decision.com or just reach out to whoever you regularly work with at DRI. It's 2:31, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap up since that's all of our time today. I want to thank you, Jim. Thanks, Sam, for your time today. Thank you to all of our attendees. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you at the next session.